Hello, Patriots. Just when I was starting to fear for the future of America, I have come across a story that has made me very, very proud of some middle school students in Massachusetts. These Patriots, they're young Patriots, and we need to be proud of them. They have actually taken a stand and stood up against the Pride Day celebrations at their school. As you can see from this Karen right here, they're freaking out over there with those teachers and some of the parents there. How dare children be free thinkers? They're ignoring everything we've tried to ram into their heads. But no, you can't hold down conservative patriots. And I'm really pleased to see this going on. If you haven't seen on the Gateway Pundit, they did a good job reporting this. You can find a lot of other information elsewhere. If you want to read an entertaining version of this from a purely liberal perspective, check out the version the Boston Globe has. Nonetheless, I really enjoyed this one. It says, students at Marshall Simmons Middle School in Boston suburb town of Burlington, Massachusetts, revolted against the school's Pride Month Spirit Day indoctrination on Friday, June 2nd. They were glaring at teachers, tearing down posters, and chanting, USA are my pronouns, while wearing red, white, and blue clothing and face paint. The protest was reported to be in part response to the school ignoring Memorial Day 2 weeks ago while going all in on LGBTQI plus 23 squared. Anyway, I find it very hard to believe that the school was actually trying to indoctrinate kids. No, they don't do that in public schools these days. No, not at all. That's why these kids standing up against it made the news media. It's national news now at this point. So I'm very proud of these kids for taking a stand. So the story is this. The school had been, and I'll go down here and read this from the Gateway Pundit, says the school had been decorated with pride signs and stickers, including the Progress Pride flag. Students were encouraged to wear rainbow-colored clothing. Encouraged. Now, we know how that goes when students are encouraged to do things with teachers. But that's what they're saying here. So let's see here. This is a clip from one of the local news media.
Students were invited to show their pride and wear rainbow clothing in celebration of Pride Month.
So let's see. Let's see how that works. Now, in schools, when you have people who can hold something over your head, something that might be a request really becomes more of an order. You know, if they can maybe make your life miserable or, threaten to make your life miserable, give you a bad grade, is it really a request if they say it to, even if maybe the teacher might not even intend it to be an order? The fact that there's a certain risk if you don't satisfy that teacher and what that teacher wants, bad things could happen to you.
But then she goes on to threaten students.
If I hear you say a damn word against any of them, I will open a can and I will make your life a living hell.
That's a teacher that was out in Utah, but here we have a perfect example. Teachers actually threatening students, okay? And it was over that teacher's political views. So is it really a request? Now, we can sit there and say the kids were, oh, no, they didn't have to participate, but clearly they were told they had to participate. I mean, who we kidding here? But anyway, so let's get back to this. This all came to light after people showed up at the meeting to complain about this whole incident, and the principal was put on the spot explaining herself why this happened. And let's see. Principal was saying that she had received feedback that the counter message was in response to school not recognizing the observance of Memorial Day. So she says, Purchase said the lack of recognition of Memorial Day was an oversight, and school officials apologized to students on Monday. It was an oversight. They just completely forgot about Memorial Day. Don't they even get the day off? I mean, how do you completely forget about that one? Like, oh goodness, Memorial Day. It always sneaks up on us. It's not like, we have it every year or anything. This is so funny because we know how this works out. And there's another little more to that in one of the local TV news things here.
The principal says she did receive some feedback that the counter message was in response to the school not recognizing the observance of Memorial Day this year. The principal called it an oversight and said they apologized to students on Monday, but she said she wishes students would have contacted her directly, writing respect for the observance of Memorial Day and respect for the LGBTQ community are not mutually exclusive.
Now that's interesting, because we know how faculty in schools, how they feel about America and being patriotic and things like that. I hope everyone remembers this particular teacher.
So during third period, we have announcements and they do the Pledge of Allegiance.
And prompts a district investigation.
My room does not have a flag. It used to be there, but I took it down during COVID because it made me uncomfortable. And I packed it away and I don't know where, and I haven't found it yet.
In the post, the Back Bay High School teacher then goes on to say how she addressed a student's concern about the way the Pledge of Allegiance was being conducted in her class.
My kid today goes, hey, it's kind of weird that we just stand and then, we say it to nothing. And I'm like, oh, well, I gotta find it. In the meantime, I tell this kid, we do have a flag in the class that you can pledge your allegiance to. And he looks around, he goes, oh, that one?
She points to the LGBTQ pride flag.
We have experience with teachers and other school faculty, how they support the American flag and support students who care about America, like this particular teacher we just saw from another part of the country, and where she seems to think it's a joke to tell the kids to pledge their allegiance to the pride flag. So I am sure if the students at this middle school in Burlington, Massachusetts, had gone up to the principal and said, hey, you completely forgot Memorial Day, I wonder what she would have done. I'm sure she would have been like, let me address that. I'm sure they would have had no problem actually getting an appointment to see her and going out there and having her address their concerns. I'm sure she wouldn't have been like this woman we just saw. I think it's utterly ridiculous that, she's saying, oh no, I wish they just would have come to me. But anyway, going back to the Gateway Pundit, this is one of the better parts here. This is just kills me. Some group that in the town has objected to this whole thing, going on to say, let's see, her name's Nancy Bonacera, co-chair of the Burlington Equity Coalition. Wow, equity. As soon as you see that, you know what to expect. And it says, students were invited to wear rainbow clothing on June 2nd in celebration of Pride Month. Yes, we already talked about the invitation. But she is very upset by how this went on with the students. On that same day, there was a counter demonstration in response to what should have been a day to celebrate, she said. Students wore red, white, and blue clothing, chanted, "My pronouns are USA," and destroyed rainbow decorations at the school. Well, first of all, aren't the kids now encouraged to pick their own pronouns? I thought they could have any pronoun they wanted. I don't know what the problem is with choosing their pronouns as USA, and they're protesting. So, who are we kidding here? But the coalition is calling for consequences for the students who participated in the counter protest and is urging the district to fill a diversity and equity inclusion role that they say has been vacant for almost a year. Oh my God, we got to get another gender studies person in there so they can sort this out. We also believe that without any direct concrete action, these incidents will occur again and increase in severity. What? That these kids will think for themselves and stand up for themselves and make a statement. That's what you're afraid of. These type of incidents. These kids went in there and they expressed how much they didn't want to do this. This is an incident. Oh, I know. They glared at the teachers. There was a part there how they just glared at them. Yeah, they glared at the teachers. Those kids just intimidated those teachers into what? There's no one hurt here. There was maybe some, intimidation, as they said. Well, intimidation of who? I say the students that were protesting were being intimidated into participating in something they disagree with. Okay. No one was hurt. No one was forced to do anything they didn't want to by the students that were protesting. They simply tore down posters. Well, that's a protest. We saw, in 2020, people were burning entire cities in protest, but that was okay because that was mostly peaceful. Okay, but tearing down a couple posters, throwing some stickers that they were trying to force the kids to wear, throwing those on the floor, going around chanting USA are our pronouns. That's somehow wrong. These kids took a stand. They should be praising these kids because they took a stand against something they don't like. Problem is, what they're doing is something that school doesn't like. How dare they think for themselves? How dare they not buy into the indoctrination? I think the best part is at the end of the article here from the Gateway Pundit. It's from the school superintendent. He's got a PhD, so naturally he's not going to make any sense to anyone. He says, the rise in LGBTQ plus violence across the country is unacceptable and has no place in our schools. What violence? Can you give me an example of violence against anyone here? What about the violence across the country towards the LGBTQ community? Give us an example. He just throws it out there, and no one in the media questions that. He's the type of genius that will say something like, we will not tolerate intolerance. That's essentially what he's saying here. He just didn't say it as ridiculously like that. I think the best part is the very last line here. It says, the Burlington Public Schools are obligated to provide a safe environment for all students to feel safe, seen, and respected without retaliation. Well, that's great. But isn't respect a two-way street? Don't you have to give respect to earn respect? I mean, who's going to get retaliated against? You got a group calling for there to be consequences for these kids who protested. I'm sure their grades won't be affected. I'm sure there'll be no problems for the students that stood up to this and said to the school, we're not going to do Pride Month. I'm very proud of these students for taking a stand, and actually this school district should be proud of students for taking a stand, organizing on their own and going out there and saying, no, we're not going to be indoctrinated like this. We disagree with this. Okay, this is a divisive issue. The fact that students are forced to participate in these things is absolutely wrong. Now, I'm not calling for violence. I'm saying absolutely. You're protesting. You go out there and you protest. And they're chanting something. Oh, they're glaring at teachers. Glaring. Isn't that another form of like looking at somebody? Isn't that like really what they're doing? So the teachers are really feeling intimidated. Why are they feeling intimidated by these students? Maybe they're feeling intimidated by the fact that these kids are thinking for themselves. How dare they? Apparently the indoctrination is not working. This whole thing, the fact that it's news tells you a lot, okay? I'm very proud of these students. I'm glad they went out there and did this counter protest. They should be praised. Good for them. And they did it the right way, okay? They didn't go out there and hurt anyone. They didn't go out there and threaten anyone. Sure, they're trying to spin it into that because the glaring at teachers is a threat now, okay? What about the students that don't want to participate? They don't want to participate in any of this. I'm sure there are plenty of them that were made to feel uncomfortable because they chose not to participate.
But, I can only speak for my daughter. She didn't want to wear that to school. It's not that she wanted to hurt anybody's feelings.
She says her daughter felt coerced to participate in the Pride event and was offended by some of the messages, like this quote from Tennessee Williams.
Human heart cannot be straight. It is curves and winds. And my daughter just kind of said, Mom, that's offensive to me, who I am straight.
So apparently, it's okay for the straight students to be offended by the Pride celebration because, hey, they're straight. They deserve to be offended too, as long as, it's them. This is perfect. And, this is a perfect example how, other people might be feeling during these Pride celebrations. And like I said, I am very pleased with these students for taking a stand. They did this really the right way. I know they're trying to spin it into them, destroying posters. They're making it like they burned the school down. If it had been the other way around, if it had been, the liberal students doing something wrong, they could have burned the school down and would still been called, mostly peaceful. So, who we kidding here? So anyway, I just wanted to bring this story to everyone about some good patriotic students in Massachusetts, one of the bluest states of them all. So that makes me happy. And how appropriate we're doing this on Flag Day, that this story is coming out. I'm just thrilled to see it. And I want to try and bring up Karen again. There's a Karen here that I just absolutely love. Look at this lady. Look at her. Oh, my goodness. She votes Democrat. She votes Democrat. I don't need to know anything else about this woman. I can tell you she votes Democrat. Okay, she's probably a Bernie supporter, actually, looking at her. But anyway, once again, Patriots, thank you for listening. Keep up the good fight. We're clearly winning when we're seeing students take a stand like this. I am proud of these young Patriots. Encourage your children to take a stand in school. Thank you.